Hi Ketna.
Hi,
So tell me about yourself.
Good afternoon. Myself, 𝐂𝐤𝐿 Sai. I have graduated a Bachelor of Technologies in the stream of Computer Science and Engineering in 2024. After my graduation, I have joined in Vcube and taking course on Fullstack Java. As part of my course, I have my learnings are Java, MySQL, JavaScript, and others. And according to my course, I have done few projects.
Okay, can you explain about your projects?
Yes, recently I have done a project on student database web application, which follows MVC architecture.
Okay, what is MVC architecture? Can you explain MVC architecture?
MVC architecture, which means a model view controller. It contains three types of layers: view layer, controller layer, and database. Model is nothing but which stores data.
Okay, which
means a
database you used? MySQL or Oracle?
MySQL.
Okay, yeah. Explain about MVC architecture clearly.
MVC architecture. First of all, front-end data, we will create front-end applications, and front-end data all will be taken by the controller. The controller will set the values to the model, and we will write all methods and queries in DAO layer. The methods and queries are called.
What is the abbreviation of DAO?
Data access object.
Okay.
And all the methods are called by the controller, and it will store data in database.
Okay.
And when we want to retrieve data from the database, we will write query in DAO layer, and data will be gathered from the database and stored in result set.
Okay. While you are doing this project, did you face any challenges?
Yes, sir. While I am doing this project, while creating connections, I got like file not found exceptions and class not found exceptions.
Okay. In which scenario you are facing the class not found exception?
Class not, while class dot for name, when we are giving MySQL connection for the database, we will class dot for name, in that parenthesis we should give URLs.
Okay.
When we not given correctly, then we get a file not found exception. Class not found exception. So we should give correctly the MySQL path. Then only it will load or register the driver.
Okay, can you please tell me what are the steps to connect from controller to database?
So there are the 5 types of steps. First step is to load the driver, and with the help of a class.forName, within the parenthesis we will give URL. It is also called as a reflection API, which changes the behavior of a class. Second is creating a connection with the help of a get connection method from the driver manager. Driver manager, which is known which class will be loaded or not. Driver manager will be known for that. And with the help of get connection, we are creating connection and storing it in a reference. And with the help of reference, we will create statements like prepare statements.
Okay, what is the difference between statement and prepare statement?
Statement and prepare statements means when we use a statement, hacker can easily manipulate or get access for that easily, sir, because the statement is prepared before itself. But when we use prepare statements, then itself the statements are created. There is no way to hack the data.
Okay, so do you know about servlet lifecycle?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you explain about servlet lifecycle?
There are 3 types of servlet lifecycles: servlet init, servlet service, and servlet destroy. When we create first time run the program, then servlet init will perform. When we run the code or anything, that all performed in servlet service. After the completion of the application, it will automatically go to destroy method.
Okay, here what is servlet actually?
Servlet which extends the capabilities of a server.
Okay, what is the meaning of servlet?
Servlet means it just giving extra capabilities.
Okay, my question is like, is it a servlet or is it a class?
Servlet, sir. It is a servlet, not class.
Servlet is a interface or a class?
It is a class.
Servlet is a class, which you are creating. Servlet is a class. So, for example, you have a HTTP servlet and generic servlet, right?
Yeah, 2 types of servlets.
Yes. So, what is servlet here?
It is an interface.
Yes. So, what is interface?
Interface is an SRS which gives only requirements, sir. Just it is an contract between client and
what is the
developer.
use of interface?
Interface, just we are giving requirements only, sir. No implementation in the interface. Just our requirements are stored or shown in the interface.
Okay.
There are the different types of interfaces like functional interface, marker interface.
And what is the difference between normal interface, functional interfaces, such as Marker interface.
Normal interfaces which contains different types of methods and extra any methods, but functional interface which consists only single abstract method and default and static methods, but it contains only one abstract methods. And marker interface, it does not contain any methods. When coming to functional interfaces, we can use them for using Lambda expressions.
What is Lambda expression?
Lambda expressions, which is nothing but anonymous function. It does not contain any name, data type, or access modifiers.
Okay.
Just implementation.
Can you tell me one scenario where you used Lambda expression?
Multithreading or multithreading. We can use in multithreading.
Multithreading in which scenario? Like where it is helpful for you?
Whenever we created functional interfaces, so if we want to write implementation directly without help of implementation class only, we can create Lambda expressions in a test accessing class.
So can you write some Lambda expression code here?
Just I am writing in a output.
A snippet of code is fine.
Just I want to print that.
Okay, so tell me about what is function, predicate, consumer, and supplier.
Function, predicate, function, consumer, supplier are the predefined functions in Java 8 features. Java 8 features which are used to concise the code and give better performance and efficiency for our Java application. So here Java 8 features are Lambda expressions, functional interfaces, and predefined functions. And stream APIs.
Okay, what is the method you used in predicate?
Test is a method.
What is the return type for it?
Boolean is the method return type, and test is the method we used in predicate. And
why we need that?
Predicate is used for checking the conditions. So we use predicate. When coming to function, if we want in a table, if we want to map or anything field something like that, means we will go to functions to, it means for every record I want to calculate any value or add any value, we go to functions. And the return type for that is object, and apply is the method.
Very good.
Next, consumer accept is the method we used. It return type is void. It returns nothing. And supplier it get is the method. Object is the return type, and it accepts one type of return type and object, and it gives one return type.
Okay, so you worked with the collections, right? Like in your project where you used collections.
In Snake and Ladder game, I used collections. It means a hash map. I have used hash map for storing ladders and keys, ladder keys and snake keys.
Okay.
There I used collections for that.
Okay. Can you tell me like what is the difference between array list versus a linked list?
Array list, which is implementing random access, and it is used for retrieval purpose, sir. But it is not synchronized and thread safe. When coming to linked list, it is used for insertion and deletion purpose. We can perform easily when compared to array list.
Okay. So what is the difference between array list and vector then?
Vector, it is synchronized and safe, thread safe, sir. And also implemented by random access.
Okay.
For easy insertion and deletion, we go to linked list. When we want in synchronized way, we move to vector.
Okay. So what are the stack methods you have?
Stack is nothing but last in, first out. We use different types of methods: push, pop, search, peek.
Okay. In my stack, if I don't have any elements, if I'm trying to take the peak elements, so is it going to give a null or zero, or is it going to give any exception? How it will give? What is the output of that?
Null.
Okay. So what is the empty stack exception then?
In a stack, maybe no elements are there.
Okay. No elements are there?
It will give.
Okay, no problem. So can you explain about comparable and comparator differences?
Yes, they comparable and comparator used for sorting. These two are interfaces which are used for sorting. Comparable is from java.lan package, and comparator is from java.util package. Compare to is the method used for comparable, and compare is the method used for comparator. When we use comparable, if we should change the class, we should touch the entity class and it changes. We need to change it. When we go to comparator, we cannot change the entity class.
Okay.
There's a difference between those two.
Okay. So tell me about something like exception handling. How to create a custom exceptions in Java?
By implementing runtime exceptions or exception class, we can create a custom
implementing
exception.
or extends?
extends.
Okay.
If it is a class, we need to implement. Whenever we extend or implement a runtime exception or exception, we can create a constructor and we need to call super of like the method.
Okay. What is the difference between throw and throws?
Throws is a keyword which is to handle exception handling only, but it just satisfies the compiler. When it for checked exceptions.
Checked or unchecked?
Checked.
Okay.
Exceptions, it satisfies.
What is the difference between checked and unchecked exceptions?
In exceptions, there are two types of exception: checked and unchecked exceptions. All under exception class are checked exception, and all under runtime exception or unchecked exception.
Can you explain about 5 exceptions for unchecked and 5 exceptions for checked?
Checked. IO exception, file not found exception, class not found exception, interrupt exception.
Okay, where you got that file not found exception, in which scenario?
When we use file reader, when we are creating a file for a file reader or loading an object for a file reader, we get file not found exception, and class not found exception we get at class dot for name. When we use that method or statement, we get a class not found exception. Okay. If we use sleep method or any other method, sleep method means we get interrupt exception.
Sleep method means or what?
Sleep method.
Okay.
If we use sleep method means we get interrupt exception.
Okay. So what about threads? Like if I want to create a thread, what do we need to do? What are the types? What are the ways to create a thread?
So there are two ways to create a thread: by extending thread and by implementing runnable interface.
Which one is recommended approach?
Runnable interface.
Why?
Because when we are writing code in a class, when we extend thread class means we can extend only thread class. We cannot extend multiple classes because of multiple inheritance. If I want to use any other class functionalities means I cannot access them. I cannot reuse the function or anything. When I implement a runnable interface, then I can extend the other classes and use that functionality. So I recommend. So we all use to implement runnable interface.
Okay. So if I am going to call t.start for the first time. Okay, so again I'm going to call on the same thread, again I'm calling it t.start 2 times. So then is it going to work or is it going to give any problem for me?
So it won't work, sir.
Okay.
When we,
what is the exception you will get here? Yeah, there you will be going to get a illegal thread state exception.
Already one thread is running, we cannot start another thread.
Correct. So yeah, so tell me one thing like thread life cycle. Like what is the thread life cycle?
In thread, we have different types of stages: new, runnable, running, runnable, dead state, and waiting state.
Okay.
If we want to move to waiting state, there are 3 methods: wait, sleep, and wait and sleep. To come out of the waiting state.
Where we can have wait method, notify methods. Is it from a thread class or different from? Is it different from any other class?
Object class.
Okay, so then tell me about synchronization.
Synchronization means performing an action, multiple threads. If there are multiple threads, executing one by one.
Okay.
In multi-threading, we use synchronization for executing thread one by one.
Okay, so what is the main use of synchronization?
We are performing in multi-threading. If multiple thread access only one resource means, then we need to go to synchronization because there we only have one resource. At a time, all the threads are requesting for the resource. Okay. Then if we use synchronization, it will perform order, priority or order. Based on that, it will take the request and give response.
Okay. So what about Spring? Like what is the difference between Spring and Spring Boot?
Spring Boot is nothing but extension of Spring only, sir. But before going to Spring, we are using advanced Java. But in advanced Java, we are adding dependencies or like that. But when coming to the Spring, we have a Maven which is an inbuilt. When we add dependencies, it will install the jar files like that. But in Spring Boot, we can.
You mentioned Maven. What is Maven?
Maven is a built-in tool.
Okay.
Which is used to install and download the jar files.
Okay. What is the meaning of jar?
Jar files.
Okay. So tell me about something like dependency injection. What is IOC?
Dependency injection is one of the flavor of IOC. IOC is nothing but an inversion of control, which creates an object. Instead of us, it will create an object with the help of a Spring container. Dependency injection, there are two types of dependency injection, setter injection and constructor injection. When we are going to use a setter injection, we need to create a bean like which having a property tag, and the value or arguments or values given in that property tag is name and value. In that we need to set the value for the class or any object. When we move to constructor injection, there we use constructor or is the tag we use. There we inside the constructor or tag we use index and values too.
What are the annotations you are aware of it? Can you explain some annotations which you used in your project?
Yes, @Spring Boot application is the annotation which consisting of which is an entry point of Spring Boot application. It consisting of internally it have three types of annotations: @Spring Boot and configuration, enable auto configuration, class component scan. Component scan which scans the base package of our project, and bean which is used to create beans in the configuration file. We go to bean. In bean we have we use parameters like name, initialization method, destroy method. Instead of initialization method and destroy method, we can use pre, destroy and post constructor. And @configuration which is used instead of XML file importing, we can use @of configuration method.
Okay.
Annotation. And we have in Spring Boot we have different REST APIs methods like @get mapping, @put mapping, @post mapping, @delete mapping and request
What
mapping.
are the response status you are aware of it?
Response status which creates a new status for us like 201. With the help of that we can create a new status.
Okay. So 201 is for?
We are creating 201 status.
Okay. What else you have? Like
200 is the default number we get. Instead of 200, we are with the help of response status we are creating 201. And 400. There are different types of codes like 400, 405, 404.
Okay.
And response body, which is when we give the data for the database, we use post response body, request body, which sends the data in a JSON format to the database.
Okay.
And request mapping, which requests to maps the methods to the controller.
Okay. What is the difference between DDL, DCL and DML commands?
DDL, DCL, DML commands.
Yes.
DDL is nothing but as a data definition language, which is related to the structure of the table. We can only modify or changes done in the table only.
Okay.
Like alter, create, alter, modify. DML commands we are performing inside the table. We go to DML commands like insert, delete, update. We are performing on rows.
Okay.
And DCL is nothing but data control language, giving access, grant and revoke.
Okay.
Like that command.
Okay. What is left outer join and inner joins? What is the difference between inner join and outer join? When we can go for it?
Inner join, we use inner join. We can go to joins when we have multiple tables only. When we have a common column in both the tables, we can go to inner join based on condition. If we don't have any common column, means we can use outer join. It will combine two tables data and show for us.
Okay. In my data, if I want to find some queries like starts with, ends with and contains, which one you will be going to use in your query?
Once again, I can't.
I have a data like Srikanth, for example. Okay. If I want to look for a data like whose name starts with S, or whose names ends with TH, or whose names contains A, I'm looking for such kind of data from my rows. So then, which type of
we can use like operator.
Exactly. Okay.
Like with the help of we can know starting.
What
or
is the difference between table and view?
Table and view. Table, it organize the data in a structured manner.
Okay, good. So you are doing good, Ketana. So all the best for you.